Hello there to all my followers of darkness, shadow scavengers, and villain aficionados. Welcome, bienvenue. Here I am in good old Lord of Shadows, and this, my friends, is Shadow Talk. Now, besides Maul Shadow Lord, there was another Star Wars TV show that I was really excited that is coming out in 2026. And I was really excited ever since it was first announced. I think like somewhere in 2024, and then of course is the continuation of Star Wars Ahsoka Season 2. And in this video, just like I did with Maul Shadow Lord, I'm going to basically discuss about my overall expectations of Season 1, where the story can go, characters returning, main villain, how it will end, basically the whole package. Similar what I did with Maul Shadow Lord. Now, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Ahsoka Season 1. Now, from the finale of Ahsoka Season 1, Thrawn escaped Peridia, and basically he came to our beloved galaxy far, far away. And I don't know if he's still hiding on Dathomir, but the last time we saw him, he was on Dathomir on his Star Destroyer, the Chimera, with lots and lots of corpses in coffins. And of course, Sabine and Ahsoka got stuck on Peridia alongside Shin Hati and Balin Skull. And with Balin Skull, the last time we saw him, he was on the statue of the father, one of the Mortis gods, who was pointing towards a beacon in a distance that Balin Skull was watching. That, as Balin Skull explained, something that was calling to him. That he was basically describing in Ahsoka Season 1. And with that being said, the main question I had, what is basically the plot of Ahsoka Season 2 going to be? Now, the one thing that we did find out, especially on the Star Wars Celebration in Japan, that Ahsoka Season 2 is basically the overall storyline is going to be split between Ahsoka and Sabine and their adventures on Peridia, and Thrawn basically terrorizing the New Republic. And the first question I had, how is actually this going to work? Now, I'm not doubting Dave Filoni. No, not at all. But when I heard that, it kind of reminded me of the Clone Wars. Like on one side, you had an arc where basically, the main characters were Anakin and Ahsoka, and then on the other side, you had an arc that basically evolves around C-3PO, R2D2, or for example, Padme. So when I first heard that basically the two plots that were going on like at the same time, Thrawn terrorizing the New Republic and Ahsoka and Sabine basically trying to survive on Peridia, it kind of reminded me of the Clone Wars a little bit. So I'm kind of really curious to see how this is going to be handled. Now, with Ahsoka and Sabine on Peridia, one of the other things I can add to their story that I think it will happen is that Ahsoka and Sabine, they're gonna not just simply try to survive on Peridia, but also at the same time, I think part of the story is going to be how they're going to try to return to our beloved galaxy far, far away. And also at the same time, I think the addition to that, I think will be we will see Ahsoka. I mean, at least like what I'm speculating from the drawings I've seen from Dave Filoni, we're going to see Ahsoka and Sabine basically going after Balin Skull. Because of like the same MacGuffin that basically Balin Skull was after ever since like Ahsoka Season 1, or should I say in Season 1 when he came on Peridia. So at least at least that's the kind of plot elements I think they're going to happen in Ahsoka Season 2. Now, one of the things I'm also kind of curious, in all of this shenanigans, what's going to happen like with Shin Hati? Because like the last time we saw her, she was like with his bandits on Peridia when after the fight between Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine. The last time we saw her, she was on this like wolf rat-like creature, and she was riding towards this like bandits. And the last time we saw her, the bandits were like staring at her, and she was like showing her lightsaber, basically like in front of them, like either symbolizing peace, like she's coming in peace, or like I'll be your leader, and you guys are gonna be my bitches. I mean, it's like one of those things. So I'm really kind of curious what kind of role Shin Hati will have in this. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is because like Shin Hati, I never kind of saw her as an overall villain. I always kind of saw her as more like a conflicted character. Like basically not simply asking others, but also asking herself like so many different questions, like from like life or death, right or wrong, like all these types of other like questions. So at the end of the day, I think that Shin Hati at the end of the Ahsoka season 1, I think she was confused. Like like who is a threat, who is not a threat, what is right, what is wrong. Can I trust Ahsoka and the others? So my suggestion, my theory about Shin Hati and her role in a season 2, I think we're definitely gonna see her basically kind of like trying to bond with the bandits. But also at the same time, I think Ahsoka and Sabine, they're gonna come face to face with her, and I think at the end of the day, I think she's gonna help them. And throughout the journey, I think Ahsoka will basically enlighten her mind. I mean, that's at least the kind of role I see with Shin Hati. Now, the New Republic and Thrawn part, for that part, I think like when it comes to the plot, I think Thrawn, I think like his main HQ, I think it's gonna be Dathomir. I think, I think it's gonna be Dathomir, and I think he's gonna try to bring all these Imperial remnants together into like one big fleet, basically, and and like piece by piece. Like basically, they explain on Star Wars Celebration, he's gonna terrorize the New Republic from like at least the way how I'm expecting, like basically fighting other like starfighters to like terrorizing planets, bringing destruction and chaos, like basically destroying their HQs and branches, and kind of like overall basically trying to spread the news of his return basically to this galaxy far far away that we all know and love. That's at least the kind of like what I'm kind of expecting to see. And also at the same time, we will definitely gonna see Hera Syndulla and the others, kind of like trying to work together to try to defend the New Republic from Thrawn, or at least like in a capacity to kind of give us Ahsoka and Sabine, some time so they can return and join the fight. So when it comes to the overall plot, I think that's how I'm seeing what's gonna happen in Ahsoka season 2. Now, again, I could be wrong, but at least like when it comes to plot wise, I think that those are the elements I think they're gonna be involved in the overall plot of season 2. But I'm still kind of curious to see how Dave Filoni is gonna balance those two plots, because in my point of view, I think like I think he's gonna concentrate more on Peridia with Ahsoka and Sabine, rather than the New Republic stuff with Thrawn. I think like we're definitely gonna see Thrawn and the New Republic be under attack and everything, but I think it's not gonna be like half and half. I think it's gonna be like more. We're gonna be more on Peridia and less with the New Republic. But basically, I think Dave Filoni is gonna try to show like what is happening at the same time while we see Ahsoka and Sabine trying to survive on Peridia, which kind of also brings me to this, which I kind of mentioned at the beginning, and those are the Mortis gods. How the hell they're going to be involved in the story? Because when you think about it, I mean, sure, they were kind of involved in the Star Wars Rebels, in the World Between Worlds arc, but for anyone who has seen the Mortis trilogy in the Clone Wars, the ones are dead. The daughter is dead, the son is dead, the father is dead. So I'm kind of curious, like how they're gonna like what kind of a connection they will have with Ahsoka season 2, because I don't think I don't think there's a fucking coincidence that not just simply we saw the fucking owl in Ahsoka season 1 finale, but also seeing the statues of the ones, well, more precisely, the father and the son, and what's left of the daughter. I don't think that's just a coincidence. I don't think. Now, would that mean that we're gonna see them appear personally? I don't think so. But I think between like what is calling to Balin Skull and them, I think like there's gonna be a connection. There's definitely gonna be a connection. I mean, one of the theories that a lot of people had is that maybe Peridia was the original home of the ones. Even though I think in Legends, I think there was another planet was kind of like the home of the ones. But maybe like in canon, maybe like Peridia was the original home, of the Mortis gods. I know, because like some people, like, especially with what's calling to Balin Skull, some people have actually been making theories that there might be that this overall connection might be referring to another Legends character that I'm still filled with doubt that we're gonna see this character appear. But hey, anything is possible. But I'm gonna discuss about that character a little bit later on. But for now, let's just talk about like the characters returning. So basically, besides Sabine, Ahsoka, Shin Hati, and Balin Skull, we also gonna see return. Hera Syndulla, Ezra Bridger, Zeb is gonna appear in Ahsoka season 2, which means we're gonna see the entire Ghost crew together. We're also gonna see Admiral Akbar appearing, and they even said that he's gonna go face to face with Thrawn, which I think this shit is gonna be epic as hell to see those two admirals going at it. Basically, although Thrawn is a Grand Admiral, but still, I think it'll be kind of really cool to see, Admiral Akbar, in action and everything. I definitely think Mon Mothma is going to return as well, and I think also that shithead senator that was going after Hera Syndulla, who is also the father of the kid from Star Wars Resistance, which I'm kind of forgetting the name. Maybe I think that even that asshole is gonna return as well. But overall, besides that asshole, like Mon Mothma, Hera Syndulla, Ezra Bridger, Chopper, Zeb, Admiral Akbar, like those are the characters that we heard they're gonna return alongside Anakin Skywalker. Now of course, Hera Syndulla and the others, like the role they're gonna have is definitely gonna be like going after Grand Admiral Thrawn and trying to defend the New Republic from all his attacks and everything. Now, the question I have, because I've seen a first look of Ezra Bridger from season 2, and from his uniform, I can definitely assume that he's part of the New Republic somehow. But I'm kind of curious what kind of a role Ezra Bridger is gonna have. Because some people have been suggesting, oh, maybe he's going to meet with Luke Skywalker, like maybe we're going to see Luke Skywalker appearing in Ahsoka season 2, which I think it will be too much. I think that's going to be too much. I don't think Luke Skywalker will appear in this for sure, but I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to use Ezra Bridger in this one. But the one thing for certain is definitely going to be great to see the Ghost crew back and everything. But the other thing is, what kind of a role Anakin Skywalker might have in Ahsoka season 2? Well, first and foremost, he's going to be a Force ghost for sure. And I think we might even have another, like a World Between Worlds type of like episode where basically he comes in contact with Ahsoka. But throughout the entire season 2, I think like what kind of a role Anakin will have, I think basically he will serve as some sort of like a guidance, kind of like watching over Ahsoka while, she's like on this journey going after Balin Skull and everything. This is crazy, but I might even see Anakin appearing in front of Sabine, of her being like a Force sensitive and everything. I'm kind of guessing he might even appear in front of Sabine because, like, in the end of season 1, she kind of sensed his presence a little bit. So she might even at the end, she might even start like at the end see like Anakin's ghost, just like Ahsoka. But we shall see. But one of the other things that's definitely going to happen is that we're definitely going to see Ahsoka continuing training like Sabine to be a Jedi and everything. Like that's definitely going to be part of the story as well. Now, with those characters returning, I think that we're definitely going to see the Great Mothers return as well. And I'm kind of curious to see what kind of a role they're going to have. I think like their role, I think might be minor. I think like their role might be involving around like trying to rebuild the Night Sisters of Dathomir. I think like, I mean, at least that's what I think might happen. Because after since the massacre that General Grievous did in Clone Wars, I think like that might be the overall goal basically, to kind of like I said, to rebuild the overall this coven of the Night Sisters. Again, that's just my guess. But overall, like besides them, I mean, I think we're definitely going to see some new characters appear as well. But I think we're going to see more older characters returning rather than see new ones. Now, besides them, which other characters might appear? Now, some people might suggest like, oh, maybe we will see Din Djarin, Grogu, like maybe even Boba Fett. Nah, I don't think we're going to see any of them. I think like the characters we're going to see are definitely going to be characters who have been shown in Ahsoka season 1, but also have been connected to Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. Again, my guess. But the other thing that some people have been theorizing is that we might even see Ewan McGregor returning as Obi-Wan. But if he does return in Ahsoka season 2, we I think it's gonna be just for a brief flashback or something. I don't think we're gonna see him like as a Force ghost or something, you know. But I think it will be really cool to see him like in the Clone Wars outfit, just like we saw Anakin, you know. But overall, that's kind of like my guess. Like besides them, I can't see any other characters returning. You know, maybe some Imperials. Maybe we might see some Imperials that we have seen like throughout the Mandalorian. You know, like especially in the Shadow Council, maybe some of these Imperials might appear, but more likely as a cameo or something. But overall, like, you know, when it comes to characters returning, you know, this is definitely gonna be it. Now I'm still kind of like on under a question mark when it comes to Obi-Wan. Some people even suggest like maybe even Yoda, but I think I think that would be too much. Even Luke Skywalker appearing, that also would be a little bit too much. But you know, who knows? But everything else, like, you know, that's basically you know, pretty much it. And when it comes to, like, you know, like I said, I'm really excited to see the Ghost crew back. You know, minus Ken and Jarrus, God rest his soul. You know, but I'm kind of curious to see, like, you know, all the crew, like all the entire Ghost crew back together. You know, kind of like, you know, fighting against Thrawn again. You know, after after what happened in Star Wars Rebels. And with that also in mind, which is of course one of my favorite parts when it comes to like discussing these kinds of topics, who's gonna be the main villain? Now, I think like since we're gonna have two like plot points basically in Ahsoka season 2, then definitely the main villains are going to be on one side Thrawn, on the other side Balin Skull, which is very simple. You know, now you know, which again I'm really excited to see what Rory McCann. I mean, again, it's gonna be really hard to replace Ray Stevenson, but you know, he was absolutely amazing as Balin Skull. But I'm really gonna be interested to see what Rory McCann does with the character. The Hound playing Balin Skull, I think that'll be really cool. And he even when I saw the first look, he actually looks really badass as Balin Skull. Anyway, so when it comes to the main villain role, I think this is gonna definitely fall on Thrawn on the New Republic side and Balin Skull on Peridia side. Now with the main villain thing, now in season 1, the main villains were Balin Skull and Morgan Elsbeth. Thrawn was the like an overarching villain. So could like season 2 have an overarching villain, and who might that be? Well, since we're talking about the Mortis gods, or just Mortis in general, the ones, the architects, the Force gods, some people might suggest that the thing that is calling Balin Skull might actually be Abeloth, also known as the Mother. Now, for anyone who doesn't know who Abeloth is, basically, she was also part of the ones of the Mortis gods. She was like the main villain of one particular storyline in Legends. I think it was called Legacy of the Jedi. I haven't read those books in a long time, but basically she's this like cosmic being, like on the same level as powerful as like the father, the son, and the daughter, who basically at the beginning she was basically this like mortal woman who basically was like this caretaker of the son and the daughter, and basically, like, you know, while the ones, you know, they are basically immortal, you know, she was throughout the years she was, you know, aging, she was getting older and older and older until like one day she basically drank and this, I think like was she drank this like very special water and bath on this other like special water. I think like the drink that she had, I think it was like the water of knowledge or something, and the bath was like the waters of wisdom. But basically, like it was, she bathed on this like magical water and drank some like other magical water that kind of transformed her into this being called the Mother. But throughout, you know, after she was transforming everything, you know, basically her mind became, you know, more and more and more corrupted. And while, you know, she became like all evil and everything, you know, and later on known as Abeloth, basically the father and his children basically trapped her on their home planet and they basically ran off on Mortis. That's kind of like the overall origin of Abeloth. So if they're trying to go with Abeloth, which I still think will be too much, with everything going on, I think it would be still too much. I would rather much prefer that this thing that is calling to Balin's Skull is something else, like a special energy or something, like, let's just say, like a force like artifact that kind of connects with the mortis gods or something, rather than being Abeloth. Or maybe even in canon version, maybe Abeloth might be like this like grand, ancient night sister or something, just like we had that old one in Clone Wars that was like hiding behind the wall before General Grievous killed her. Like maybe that's something else. But again, Balin Skull did say, like, that maybe there's a force on Peridia that maybe, well, no, Balin Skull, sorry. Shin Hati said that maybe there's a force on Peridia that maybe the Night Sisters are running away from. Or should I say the Great Mothers are running away. So it might not be connected with them. So it might be something else. And again, having the Mortis gods there, it kind of leads to Abeloth, but I'm still kind of hoping something else, because I think, like, for Abeloth, I think it will be too much, because if we see actually Abeloth in Ahsoka season 2, I think we'll very briefly. I think, like, at least what could happen is that maybe Abeloth could take possession of Balin Skull's body, and that's how Ahsoka, Sabine, and Shin Hati basically drag themselves into this fight against Balin Skull. Because, like, throughout the Legend storyline, Abeloth used a lot of different avatars. Throughout the storyline where she was involved, we never saw her using her actual body. And when you see her actual body, holy shit, like she looks like this monster that came out of a Lovecraftian story. Like she looks like Cthulhu's aunt, literally, with all those tentacles and everything. But basically, if we see Abeloth, I think it's going to be very briefly. And I think if we see her, I think she's going to still remain on Peridia. Like, like I said, if something involves with Balin Skull, if there's a connection between Balin Skull and Abeloth, I think, like I said, the least what could happen is that she's gonna possess his body so that she could use him as a vessel to kind of like go to the galaxy we all know and love, far, far away, to kind of like unleash her overall agenda, like she had in Legends. And basically Ahsoka and Sabine and alongside Shin Hati might, try to fight Balin Skull, or should I say Abeloth as Balin Skull, in which Balin Skull might in the end up dying. And basically Abeloth will still be trapped on Peridia. I mean, I think that's how at least I could see it work, And even still then, I think, like, some people might complain that, they didn't use Abeloth at all, very briefly, But think about it. But I think that's the only way they could use her, because if they bring Abeloth into this to, like, for a bigger story, it'd be way too much with everything going on. Being like in this timeline between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, it would be way too. This story with Abeloth will be way too big. So that's why I'm thinking that Abeloth will be too much. So I'm really kind of hoping that it still kind of involves the Mortis gods, but it's not something as big as Abeloth. I think that will be a little bit too much, But again, anything could be possible. But for me, still, I'm kind of hoping that it's some sort of like an ancient holocron or like an artifact or something that connects with the Mortis gods, that Balin Skull could use to kind of like, end this cycle or something. I don't know. But that's at least the way how I see it. Now, and also, which kind of brings me to this: how will it end? Because honestly, I don't see Ahsoka coming back for a season 3. I think we're just gonna have a season 2 and that's it. Because with everything also going on with Dave Filoni and how busy he's gonna be and everything, alongside not just simply like controlling everything that is going on, but also at the same time also his connection with Mandalorian and Grogu and his overall movie that is gonna conclude the Mandoverse. I think Ahsoka season 2 might be like the last part of this like Ahsoka story in general. Which kind of brings me to this question: how will it end? Well, if this ends on like a bigger scale, especially like on Peridia, like this battle between Ahsoka, Sabine, Shin Hati, and Balin Skull. Now, one of the things I definitely think is going to happen is that Balin Skull is going to die by the hand of Ahsoka. I think Shin Hati will also die by making a sacrifice or something. And Ahsoka and Sabine, in the end, I think they will find a way to escape Peridia and come back to like the galaxy we all know and love. Now the question is how they're going to do this. Now they can do in two ways. Also I'm sorry, I'm gonna forget to mention Hu Yang. You know, into this conversation. I'm also, but I'm really hoping that they're not gonna kill Hu Yang in season two. I really do because I really liked them in season one. But anyway, so how they can escape Peridia? One, they can try to use the Purgils again, or they can use the world between worlds to go back to the galaxy we all know and love. Maybe even Anakin Skywalker, like as a Force Ghost, like maybe he will help them return. Which also kind of brings me to this idea that maybe even he might help Ahsoka and the others to try to, when they go up against Balen Skull as well. I mean, anything is possible. So, but in the end, I think, like I said, I think like Balen Skull is gonna die. I think Shin Hati is also gonna die, and I think she's gonna die, but by through like a sacrifice or something. And Ahsoka and Sabine will return in the galaxy we all know and love, because one of the other theories I had was that she's definitely gonna play a big part in this like final movie that's gonna conclude the Mandoverse in general. So yeah, that's kind of like the overall idea of the ending that I have for Ahsoka season 2. And again, I definitely think we're not gonna see a season 3. I think after the Ahsoka season 2 is done, that's it. That's it. It's not gonna be like another Mandalorian thing where like we had season 1, 2, 3, and a possible season 4, but it was switched with a movie. So I don't think the same thing happening with Ahsoka. So that's kind of like an obvious ending that I had for Ahsoka season 2. Now the overall release date. Now again, it depends on like when they're gonna stop filming, because like if they film the same way as they did Ahsoka season 1, which I think they also started somewhere in April, and then they filmed all the way to I think October. I think if they continue the same way, then I think the Ahsoka season 2 might be released again somewhere during August, in summer 2026. I think that's when it's going to be released. I don't think I maybe could be released at the end of June or somewhere in July, but I think it's going to be released again in August. That's just my guess when it comes to the overall release date. Yeah. I mean, overall, like, I always thought Ahsoka season 2 might be an interesting, conversation, guys, because like I'm really curious to see what the story is going to be all about. But overall, I think like, this is like my overall thoughts of Ahsoka season 2. Again, when it comes to like the Mortis gods, I don't think we're going to see them personally. I don't think we're going to see, I mean, we might see them like, through like, hearing their echoes or something, or like maybe some flashbacks. I mean, it would be really cool to see Sam Witwer return to portray, the sun and everything. Some people even said that maybe Balen Skull, like the sun, might be calling for Balen Skull. But the question is, how is he alive? Because like, the father killed him, and when he died, the father and the son, they both like disappeared. So I don't know. Maybe they are somehow alive. I don't know. Maybe they even, or maybe just their essence is alive. I don't know. But again, that's the biggest question. What is calling Balen Skull? Again, it could be Abeloth, or it could be the sun. I know, but one of those two might be a possibility, but I'm still hoping it's not Abeloth. But overall, it'd be really interesting to see the Mortis gods again. And with that being said, that's my overall discussion and speculation about Ahsoka season 2. Like, I really have nothing more to add. But the one thing for certain I can say is that Thrawn is definitely not going to die in Ahsoka season 2. But this is definitely going to be a build-up to the overall movie. There's going to be like this grand finale to Mandoverse, and that's where basically Grand Admiral Thrawn will meet his ultimate defeat. Which also, again, another part of this theory, which this overall defeat of Grand Admiral Thrawn, I think this is going to lead into the creation of the First Order. I'm just saying, the ashes of Grand Admiral Thrawn's defeat, from those ashes, I think they're gonna start to build the First Order. But again, just a thought. But overall, here I'm done, guys. Rate the video, comment, like, subscribe. Personal thoughts and ideas of Ahsoka season 2. What do you expect to see in Ahsoka season 2? Which of the characters that are returning are you most excited to see? What do you think about Rory McCann as Baylan Skoll? What do you think the story is going to be all about? Do you think we're going to see Abeloth appear for the first time in from Legends to canon? Do you think the Sun will return, or do you think the Morris gods in general will appear? What do who do you think is going to die? How the story will end and everything? Just Ahsoka season 2, in general, just everything put in the comment section down below. And until then, stay tuned for more in the near future. And as always, Lord of Shadows signing off, or as I like to say, later, fuckers.